The Red Light Killer, a chilling tale of a 14-year-old and an AR-15. The night was cold, the kind of cold that bites at your skin and makes you pull your coat tighter. Interstate 25 in Colorado was quiet, save for the occasional hum of tires on asphalt. It was February 2021, and the world was still reeling from the chaos of a global pandemic. But for Pamela Cabriales, a 44-year-old woman driving home after a long day, the night would end in unimaginable horror. What started as a minor fender bender at a red light would escalate into a senseless act of violence that would shock the nation. The perpetrator, a 14-year-old boy with an AR-15. This is the story of Remi Cordova, the red light killer, and the night that changed countless lives forever. The incident, a routine drive, turns deadly. Pamela Cabriales was just like any of us, someone with dreams, responsibilities, and people who loved her. She was driving home that night, likely thinking about what she'd make for dinner or how she'd spend her weekend. But as she approached a red light on Interstate 25, her car lightly bumped into the vehicle in front of her. It was a fender bender, the kind of minor accident that happens every day. No one could have predicted what would happen next. The driver of the other vehicle was Remi Cordova, a 14-year-old boy. Instead of exchanging insurance information or calling the police, Remi stepped out of his car armed with an AR-15 rifle. Without warning, he opened fire, striking Pamela multiple times. She died at the scene, her life extinguished in a matter of seconds. The randomness of the attack is what makes it so chilling. Pamela wasn't a target. She wasn't involved in some heated argument or personal feud. She was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Remi? He was just a kid with a weapon of war and a mind twisted enough to use it. The aftermath. A community in shock. When news of the shooting broke, the community was left reeling. How could a 14-year-old commit such a brutal act? Where did he get the gun? And perhaps most haunting of all, why? As investigators dug deeper, a disturbing picture began to emerge. Remi Cordova wasn't just a troubled teen, he was a ticking time bomb. Reports surfaced that he had a history of behavioral issues and had been exposed to violence at a young age. But none of that could fully explain the cold-blooded nature of his crime. Body camera footage from the responding officers and interrogation videos provide a glimpse into Remi's state of mind. In the footage, he appears eerily calm, almost detached, as he recounts the events of that night. There's no remorse, no tears, just a chilling matter-of-factness that sends shivers down your spine. The psychology of a teenage killer. What drives a 14-year-old to kill a stranger over something as trivial as a fender bender? Criminal psychologists point to a combination of factors, including emotional immaturity, exposure to violence, and a lack of empathy. At 14, Remi was still in a critical stage of brain development. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and decision-making, isn't fully developed in teenagers. This biological factor, combined with possible underlying mental health issues, could have led to an inability to manage anger or frustration. The minor accident might have triggered an exaggerated response, pushing him over the edge. But there's more to it than that. Remi's use of an AR-15 suggests a possible desensitization to violence. Whether through exposure to violent media, video games, or a troubled home environment, he may have come to see violence as a normal way to resolve conflicts. And the randomness of his victim choice, Pamela Cabriales, an innocent bystander, points to a severe lack of empathy. To Remi, she wasn't a person with a life and a family, she was just an object in his path. The role of access to firearms. One of the most troubling aspects of this case is how a 14-year-old boy got his hands on an AR-15. The weapon, designed for maximum lethality, is not something a child should have access to. Yet, In a country where gun ownership is deeply ingrained in the culture, stories like this are becoming all too common. This tragedy raises important questions about gun control and parental responsibility. How did Remi acquire the rifle? Were there warning signs that his family or community missed? And what can be done to prevent similar incidents in the future? The trial. Justice for Pamela. In the months that followed, Remi Cordova was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The trial was a somber affair, with Pamela's family and friends pleading for justice. They spoke of her kindness, her love for life, and the void her death has left in their lives. For Remi, the sentence was a harsh but necessary consequence of his actions. At just 14 years old, he will spend the rest of his life behind bars, a stark reminder of the irreversible consequences of violence. The story of Remi Cordova and Pamela Cabriales is a tragic one, but it's also a call to action. It's a reminder of the importance of mental health awareness, the dangers of normalizing violence, and the need for stricter gun control laws. As we reflect on this heartbreaking case, let us remember Pamela not as a victim, but as a symbol of the fragility of life. Her death should serve as a wake-up call to all of us to be more compassionate, to seek help for those in need, and to work toward a society where such senseless violence is no longer a reality. The haunting legacy of the red light killer. The story of Remi Cordova and Pamela Cabriales is one that will stay with you long after you finish reading. It's a story of how a single moment of rage can shatter countless lives, and how the actions of one individual can send ripples through an entire community. But it's also a story of resilience. In the face of unimaginable loss, Pamela's family has found the strength to advocate for change. They've turned their grief into a mission to prevent others from suffering the same fate. As we move forward, let us honor Pamela's memory by striving to create a world where no family has to endure such a loss. Let us work together to address the root causes of violence and build a future where stories like this are a thing of the past. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get home safely. And no one should have to fear that a red light could be their last. This story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human heart and the light that can emerge when we come together to fight it. The case of Remi Cordova, a 14-year-old who killed Pamela Cabriales with an AR-15 over a minor traffic incident, is a chilling reminder of how deeply disturbed some individuals can be, even at a young age. As a criminal psychologist, I would analyze the motives behind this heinous act by delving into the psychological and environmental factors that may have contributed to such a violent outburst. Psychological analysis. Lack of emotional regulation. At 14, Remi was still in a critical stage of emotional and psychological development. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and decision-making, is not fully developed in teenagers. This biological factor, combined with possible underlying mental health issues, could have led to an inability to manage anger or frustration. The minor fender bender might have triggered an exaggerated response due to his inability to process emotions rationally. Desensitization to violence. The use of an AR-15, a weapon designed for maximum lethality, suggests a possible desensitization to violence. This could stem from exposure to violent media, video games, or even a troubled home environment. For some individuals, violence becomes a normalized way to assert power or resolve conflicts, especially when they lack healthy coping mechanisms. Need for control and power. The act of killing a stranger over something as trivial as a fender bender indicates a deep-seated need for control. Remi may have felt powerless in other aspects of his life, and this extreme act of violence could have been a way to assert dominance and reclaim a sense of power, even if it was fleeting and destructive. Absence of empathy. The randomness of the victim choice. Pamela Cabriales, an innocent bystander, suggests a severe lack of empathy. Remi may have viewed her as an object rather than a human being with a life, family, and dreams. This dehumanization is often seen in individuals who commit senseless acts of violence. Environmental factors, access to firearms. The availability of such a powerful weapon to a 14-year-old is deeply troubling. It raises questions about the role of gun control and parental responsibility in preventing tragedies like this. Potential trauma or neglect. While not explicitly stated, many young offenders have histories of trauma, neglect, or abuse. These experiences can warp a young mind, leading to antisocial behavior and a distorted sense of morality. Lessons to take away. The importance of mental health awareness. This tragedy underscores the need for early intervention in mental health. Parents, educators, and communities must be vigilant in identifying signs of emotional distress in young people and providing them with the support they need before it's too late. The danger of normalizing violence. Society must reflect on how violence is portrayed and glorified in media and entertainment. We need to teach young people that violence is never a solution and that every life has value. The role of empathy and compassion. Pamela Cabriales was someone's daughter, friend, or loved one. Her life was cut short in a senseless act of violence. This story should remind us to cherish our loved ones and treat others with kindness, as we never know what struggles they may be facing. The need for gun safety. This case is a stark reminder of the dangers of easy access to firearms, especially for young, impressionable individuals. Stricter gun control laws and responsible ownership could prevent future tragedies. A moving reflection. As we reflect on this heartbreaking story, let us remember Pamela Cabriales not as a victim, but as a symbol of the fragility of life. Her death should serve as a wake-up call to all of us to be more compassionate, to seek help for those in need, and to work toward a society where such senseless violence is no longer a reality. Let us honor her memory by striving to create a world where no family has to endure such a loss.
Not be considered as legal advice or factual evidence. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with legal professionals for accurate and personalized information. The content may discuss sensitive topics, and viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this video are those of the content creator and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated individuals or organizations.
Thank you for taking the time to follow my channel. Please subscribe now and join us on this eye-opening journey.